If you've been a New Yorker for 20 years or so, you might have heard your friends back in the old days say this. Did you read Kriegel? That's right. He had that kind of status, like Jordan. You understand? Like Sinatra. You said one last name, you knew. You read Kriegel? One of the best-known columnists in the history of columns, and one of the most talented writers in sports or any other genre. Please welcome Mark Kriegel to the show, the host of NFL AM on the NFL Network, Mark Kriegel. Mark?
What's up, fellas?
How are you?
Hey.
You know, I got to get my knee fixed, and I just got to say, Falao thought I was getting Viagra.
Yeah, what happened? I understand that you had to get some prescription.
They got to shoot the fake cartilage, and the guy wants to give me like the blood platelets. I feel like A-Rod.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, the only difference between you and A-Rod is you're good at baseball.
and I, and Falato's treating me. He's like, it's okay, I understand.
What do you mean?
You gotta do what you gotta do. It's all right. I won't tell nobody.
Was Dan accusing you of getting Viagra at your tender young age?
No, he said, no, I'm not trying. I'd cop to it. You know that.
I know you would. As a matter of fact, you'd look for some sort of endorsement deal.
I apologize, Mark. I know it was Cialis now. I apologize.
I didn't realize this type of witty banter was going on.
No, the guy, he said, I recommend P something, PPP. I was getting blood platelet therapy, right? He said, I said, really, for my knee? Like I could dunk backwards. I said, I felt it was one moment I felt important. And Falao he took it from me. He robbed it.
That's what Dan does. Dan robs special moments from people.
You know?
Because he doesn't have any himself, and he's looking to fill up his special moment bag with others.
Anytime Mark Kriegel is on is a special moment for me.
It is.
No, but you know how I was looking forward to telling the twins, like, they still work there?
They're individuals, actually. They're individuals. Liz and Marie.
I was going to tell hey, girls, I'm on platelet therapy.
Uh-huh.
But now that's gone.
I know. Well, so that's
okay.
One BS line you're going to have to substitute for another.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's working out so well for me.
Speaking of dunking, by the way, let's discuss how awful the Knicks are. I mean, can you put into words what they're doing? I mean, come on. It's just like they're ripping us off. They're ripping a lot of young Knicks fans off of their youth.
Well, the young Knicks fans deserve that they fell for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I look, I don't get to be right that often. We know. This is something I've been right about. I've made a tradition of being right about the Knicks because they suck so much for decades. And I got a beef with them for Jeremy Lin because I thought that was the brief shining moment where basketball looked like basketball was supposed to be played.
You think they should still have Jeremy Lin on the team and be practicing?
No, let me put it to you. The game looked better when he in that brief moment that he was in. And Carmelo, it isn't even Carmelo's fault. Carmelo is what he is. Carmelo will be a more effective player when he's like 35 years old and he has to go in like McAdoo, when he's on his third knee surgery, and they go, listen, you got 10 minutes, chuck it up. And if you miss your first two, you're out. But if you hit your first two, we'll keep you in. I mean, it's not his fault. He is what he is. And you got J.R. Listen, you got J.R. Smith. I love how this is the Knicks. Like before the playoffs, they trot out like Bradley and the hippie from Montana, Phil Jackson, and the senator, and this and that, and they all talk about the old days. And what's the reality of it? The reality is J.R. Smith.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. What I think about it is there's too many selfish people on the Knicks. That's the problem.
Well, J.R. Smith is coming out and taking the full brunt of the blame for them losing this series. What do you think about that, Mark?
I think it was a brief but shining moment in the history of J.R. Smith. He's right. What am I supposed to say? But a lot of it also has to do not just with Carmelo, but the kid from, and this is, from my perspective, the kid from Indianapolis. Was it Paul George, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
That no one knows about because he's playing in Indianapolis. Really locking up Carmelo. I mean, yes, J.R. Smith is supposed to be a better player, and lo and behold, guess what? beating Boston isn't the end of the world. You know, I mean, they hustle the minor accomplishments as major accomplishments, and that wasn't. I know I sound like an old fart, maybe I am, but that wasn't the case in the New York that I grew up in. There were certain things that you were expected to do. So it's not about beating Boston. You're beating a Boston team where basically the good guys are as old as we are.
No.
And it was hailed as a major accomplishment. And you see these Knicks really are good. And guess what? The game changes when you're playing against able-bodied people in the middle of May. And it should. And they play defense. And this kid, Paul George, has played great defense. I understand that. And J.R. Smith said what he should have said. It's on me. I'm played badly. Okay, great. It doesn't negate the fact that Paul George has locked up Carmelo, who is supposed to be the transcendent player and the MVP candidate and all the other stuff. All the Knicks fans with the MVP, that's it annoys me. It annoys me when they do it out here for Kobe, but Kobe deserves it.
Well, it's not, anyone who says it's anyone other than LeBron James is delusional this particular year.
Yeah, I understand the sympathy with which it's said and the rooting interest and all the other stuff. I just want to rain on the miserable Knicks fans parade.
No, you're right. Listen, no, it is. It's I think the Knicks and the Pacers don't match up well if you're a Knicks fan. A lot of people say that's the same case with the Heat and the Pacers, but it's kind of a boring league at this point because I just think all roads lead to the Heat, and it's terrible. Now, do you think next year the Bulls, with a fresh Derrick Rose all year long, and he stays healthy, do you think next year, looking ahead, a Derrick Rose-led Bulls team can take out the Heat in a playoff series?
I think they got a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not a particularly original point of view, but I do think that they have a shot because they all play defense, and the Joakim Noah is the kind of player, the kind of secondary star that everybody likes to play with and nobody likes to play against because he's a pain in the ass. So if you're on the other team, it's like, I got to see this guy again. He's jumping around. He's really... He's also, Thibodeau is an excellent defensive coach, and he has been throughout his entire career. Can you get Derrick Rose healthy for a whole year? I don't know. But on paper, yeah, the weakness I see in that team is that Boozer is a second tier star.
He had a great night tonight, though.
No, I understand, but I don't. He's one of these guys. To me, he has to work really hard to score. But that's just my take on him. I don't mean to diminish him as a player. I just don't think he's one of the. You're parsing stuff unfairly, or I am when I'm doing this, and I acknowledge that. But I don't think he's one of the top tier guys.
But he's a guy that
have on your team.
He's a guy that can occupy space and provide a physical presence.
Yes.
That the Heat seem to have trouble dealing with at times. I agree. I mean, I think he's a complimentary type guy. He's no star, but you get Derrick Rose back, and I really do like the chances that the Bulls have down the line, assuming Derrick Rose comes back healthy. But
Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Right.
But back to the Knicks. I mean, the issue that they seem to be having controlling the Pacers inside. How does Tyson Chandler figure into this? I mean, he's
done.
He's been kind of spreading the blame around, but I don't see him stepping up and making an impact on this series at all.
No, he isn't. He's limited. I think he had a good run in New York. He's been a better player than people envisioned. And the big problem he has right now is that he's not 7'4".
Yeah.
I mean, so he's not Roy Hibbert, and the game gets bigger and stronger and slower and more defensive-minded this time of year. And it's almost as if it's played, the Knicks were, as Knicks teams and other teams have been, they were a very good regular season team. And now the game has changed, and we're seeing that, all the chest beating during the regular season was a bit premature.
What do you think?
And Tyson, Tyson Chandler, this is not a good matchup for Tyson Chandler because he's up against a big, strong, 7-foot, 4-inch, whatever center.
Yeah.
And they know how to play him. Listen, Roy Hibbert, stay inside, be inside. You're not a point. You're not shooting outside shots. You're not staying around the perimeter. You're not doing anything cute. It's traditional basketball.
Right.
That's what it works.
And it seems like, I would assume Roy Hibbert has a chip on his shoulder, too, not making the all-defensive team while Tyson Chandler did. That was an absolute oversight, in my opinion. So he's got some payback coming his way, Tyson Chandler does.
And that is sports, especially as it's done in the contemporary way, the endless search for the chip. But one guy he's entitled to have his chip. And let me ask you this: do you think Roy Hibbert would not be on the team if he played in New York?
No,
I'm in New
exactly.
York, but that's the basis for it.
No, you're right.
And that's And nor would I have this resentment against the Knicks if I didn't grow up on 8th Avenue and I didn't, whatever.
No, he even addressed that in a quote, saying, maybe if I played somewhere else, I would be respected a little bit more.
Hey, give me your idea of what's going to happen post Darrell Revis Jets.
I think that life actually got simpler for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna suck. They had a good draft. I think that, as I said before, I think that Rex Ryan is a great defensive coach. You give him like 5 guys named Joe, and you can scheme them together. Listen, they had no one to sack the quarterback last year. They're like their main guy had about 6 sacks.
Yeah.
What he did with Bupkis was extraordinary. They had the second best pass defense without Revis. And they were still a lousy team. I think that in some respect, with the unanticipated retirement of David Garrard,
Right.
it simplifies their choice. Personally, I would start Sanchez unless he's so bad you can't get away with it, and let him screw up.
Yeah.
Or let Geno Smith play his way in. You better hope that Geno Smith is good enough to carry out his end of the bargain and play himself into the rotation. But at least there's a less complicated choice. You don't have Tebow anymore. I thought Tebow was the right choice last year. I'm in the minority. Okay, but that's off the table now. Garrard is off the table now. Mm-hmm. You got a 2-man. You have realistically a 2-man rotation here. So one guy's should start, and one guy should succeed him. I'm not overly encouraged by Geno Smith's first 2 weeks. And maybe, listen, he's from Florida, West Virginia, wherever he's from, but the firing of his agents, and maybe his agents deserved it, but it was a graceless move, and there's a political component to this. The kid, if you're going to trust the kid with a franchise, he's got to be a little bit smarter, a little bit more savvy politically than that.
Yeah, he's really been digging himself a hole. Every quote I see from him, it's got a little barb in there. He seems to be extremely highly opinionated of himself.
Absolutely.
And doesn't seem you have to have some selflessness. You have to have the desire to want to learn as a rookie, particularly a quarterback. The problem is it's kind of the blind leading the blind, with Sanchez being the guy he's looking to figure out how to diagnose defenses. That's a real issue.
I hope he's not looking to Sanchez.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. But look, and this is about as loaded a comparison as you can get. But we now know that Aaron Rodgers was really pissed at being selected late in the first round. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that he was justified. You didn't hear him harping on how disappointed and upset and what a chip on the shoulder he had until years later the moment was right. And by then he had already essentially won a Super Bowl and proven himself. And one of the most difficult things in sports, particularly at that position, is the act of succession. Mm-hmm. And we've seen two like extraordinary acts in the last 5-7 years. One with Andrew Luck, and the other with Aaron Rodgers succeeding Favre.
Well,
yeah.
But you never heard him pop off. What is he complaining about? He got picked early in the second round. He wanted to go first. Guess what? You didn't. Okay, shut up, play. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem with the Jets. If you're a Jet fan, it's hard to win when every person in your organization is a jerk off. It's hard to win. Mike Boschetti, we're going to wrap up with a question from you about anything in the world of sports, Mike, that you want to know. I'm giving the floor to you before, and we'll let Mr. Kriegel go with a question.
Mike, don't tell the Twins I'm on Viagra.
No, that's just it's secret between us, Mark. I love you, buddy. That's our little.
Tell them I'm on platelet therapy.
As Boschetti just said, it's a secret between you guys. Go ahead, Mike. Any question about the world of sport?
John, have you ever had?
His name is Mark.
Mark. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. Mark, have you ever been a Mets fan in your life? I loved them since childhood. Sentimental.
I know. I was a Mets fan briefly.
Oh, really?
I was a Mets fan briefly because my father's a National League guy.
Yeah.
And when I went to camp in second grade, like the big fat kid was like the home run hitter, like at that age when the big fat strong kid is the best athlete too. What do you like drinking a Mountain Dew?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's a Slurpee? What is
When someone starts off a question, an answer, I was a Met fan briefly, I tend to talk. Go ahead. Go ahead. Mike, by the way, excellent question.
I was
Mike.
a Mets fan. No, and the kid said, oh, the Yankees have 20, then like 22 pennants, and what do the Mets have? They got nothing, and you suck, and I'm going to kick your ass. So I thought about it. I was in first or second grade. I thought about it, and like all prideful men, I gave up my allegiance rather quickly at the prospect of getting my ass kicked.
Well, I always thought you were tough. I admire you because I thought you were like really New York. You're a total New York guy like us. I thought you were a tough guy that wouldn't take any crap from people. You know.
No, actually, I thought about his argument. I came home and I said, Dad, the Yankees have 22 World Series and 29 pennants, and the Mets, they only have one. Why are we rooting? But then I fell in love. The first game my father took me to, I don't know why this was Yankees Cleveland. Bobby Mercer hit a home run. They won 3-1. I became a huge Bobby Mercer fan. Then a Thurman fan.
Well,
but by the time they got Mickey Rivers, I was done.
I know. I mean,
that's the answer to your question. I feel like about a week and a half or 2 weeks at camp, and the big fat kid, he appealed to my sense of reason and my sense of safety.
That's right. That's right. And you grew up to be a Viagra-using writer.
No, platelet therapy.
I'm sorry. Well, listen.
I'm on the Viagra, I'll tell you guys. I'm not proud about it.
I understand, my guy. Listen, you are the host of NFL Network's NFL AM. Now, is that still go on during the off-season?
Of course. You can't say that. You can't say off-season.
Oh, it's not an off-season.
There is no off-season. There's the combine season.
It's true. You're right,
There's,
actually, nowadays.
There's,
The draft?
Draft season. The draft is bigger than baseball. It's like the whole world is, this is whatever. You realize
Football, the football is all-encompassing. I watched ESPN broadcast 2 weeks ago Alabama's spring game. Essentially, in prime time, they had a scrimmage Alabama was playing.
Yes, right.
I mean,
And this is why I'm making a living.
You are making a living. It's a good living. It's a respected
I'm
living.
making a living doing this.
Yeah, it's what makes you be able to afford the coffee in Santa Monica with you and all your playwright friends.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Hey.
I can't wait to go to Californication.
Hey, Mark, listen, I'm going to be out there. I'll be out there soon enough this summer. I got the book coming and my stand-up special. I'll be out there for
That's going to be
a lot.
I'm going to be in town. I'm going to be in town in June.
All right.
All right?
All right. Well, then I'll plan to be in LA.
Thank you. I'm going to sleep a little while.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
I love you. The great Mark Kriegel. Check him out on NFL AM on the NFL Network, and for some scathing tweets